So anyway, it got to the point that they started this particular movement. They had this board, you know, my father was on, and they realized they couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. And so, you know, what happened was, before King came, a lot of students went to jail. There were like 600 students in jail. And they were saying, we don't have the money to get these kids out of jail. They were like 16 years old, 17 years old. They couldn't get out of jail. So they decided to call King to see if King had any resources. They asked King, can you help those kids with bail money? They didn't have the money. So the thing they said was, why don't we send King there to help you with this movement? So this is the scene you see right here. He arrived in Albany, and here he's facing off with Chief Pritchett. Chief Pritchett was one of the smartest darn cops you ever want to see. This man learned a lot. He said, I'm not going to fight them with violence because it's going to gain me the attention, and if one of them gets hurt, if somebody gets shot or killed in jail, it's going to cause a major revolution. So he made sure that he treated King like a king. And what he'd do is, if King went to jail, King would say, I'm going to sit in jail for 30 days. And then what he'd do is he'd have somebody, maybe a nice white citizen, come and pay his bail money and kick him out of jail. So he had a way of quelling this movement in ways that drove us crazy. So, you know, Albany basically was under martial law for a whole year. These are the dogs I'm telling you about. It was no joke. They would sit those dogs on you in a moment. Okay? And as a little kid this size, seeing those dogs and seeing those guns and seeing those mean faces, it was really terrifying for me as a child. And every night that I can think of, my daddy had me go to church. These are the church meetings. The same meetings they had in Montgomery. This is where the people got their inspiration. They got their inspiration from singing. They got their inspiration from prayer. Had the church not been a part of black life, I don't think we could have survived. I honestly don't. I would see people come in there, beat up, no hope, no nothing, and they would go here, hear these great speeches by people like King, and the singing would just transport you away. Okay? And there was a group called the Freedom Singers. They were young kids between the ages of like 17 and 22. And that guy that you just saw, Cordell Reagan, he was part of that. His future wife was a part of it. Their singing was amazing. I wish I had clips that I could play, but it would transport you. You'd be in there shivering like, I don't want to go out there. After the singing, your head would go up, their posture would go up, and they'd march into the streets, and they would confront the stuff head on. Okay, now this piece right here, I need, where's Mr. Bill? Bill Shear, are you around? You're there, okay. Can you put up this clip? This was a tragedy that struck my family really hard. And I'll tell you this story. My mother, you know, when they had the uprisings, and it wasn't nonviolent, the youth were basically protesting in the street in Albany. And our maid, Ella Mae, was caught up in that. She actually went and protested. She was about 17 years old. And she was put in prison, and she was taken to a place called Camilla, Georgia. Now, Pritchett, Chief Pritchett had a very good system here. He had it so that he could farm out all of these people to different cities. So he farmed out Ella Mae to Camilla, Georgia. And so my mother decided to go and take Ella Mae some food. And she put me in the car, I was about 6, my sister was about 4, and my brother was 2, and my mother was pregnant at the time. So my mother drove all the way to Camilla. I guess it was about an hour and a half to get there. We drove to Camilla, and we got out of the car and started walking toward the jail. And I saw this gigantic jail. And I was saying, where's Ella Mae? Where's Ella Mae? And she said, oh, there she is. And she was waving her hand from the jail. Her mother had the food. And then all of a sudden we see these cops come, and they start pushing people out of the way. Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of here. And so because my mother was pregnant, she couldn't move fast enough. So the sheriff actually came and hit her in the face, knocked her down, and another deputy sheriff came and kicked her in the stomach. It was really, I mean, and interesting enough, everything went blank. for me, I saw the guard, I saw the sheriff knock her down, and then when he kicked her in the stomach, it's like everything went blank. Everything went blank. And all hell broke loose. It was crazy. When the word got back to Albany, people were ready to riot. They said, the hell with King, the hell with this nonviolent stuff, we're going to tear the city apart. And so they were doing everything they could not to be violent. Now, the hurting thing about this, and I don't know why, I have to ask myself this question. My uncle, who was the only lawyer in town and had done many court cases, decided not to take this to court. So I wonder to this day what was going on in his head. But I just wanted to show you a little clip of her in bed and talking to a reporter. Is that on here anywhere? Oops.
Just click on it. Click on the photo.
Oh, it's not there. It's not there. It's somewhere else.
Oh, is that the screen that's further on in the presentation?
Yeah. Well, you had actually put that.
Is it here?
No. Well, yeah, we can't do it from there. I'll do it at the end. I'll do it.
I mean, I can jump here and then jump back.
Well, I think you put it down at the bottom somewhere, but it's okay.
Is it one of these? No.
I don't think we can do it.
Or I can go back. But I can go back.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, that was a very bad situation for Albany, and after that happened, the Albany movement slowed to a halt. That's my father basically confronting Chief Pritchett. Chief Pritchett, like I said before, you got to read up about this guy. This guy's amazing. I remember one day that my father took me in to meet this man. Okay, and by the time he got finished with me, I was I was in that man's hands. He gave me a badge to wear. He treated me so nicely. And my father was totally furious after that. That just shows you how charming this man was. That I wanted my mother to put the badge on my shirt. And she did. And then I walked around and it's like, well, maybe one day, I guess I was saying, maybe one day he'll be a future police cop, one of the first. Because at that time there weren't any. And that's, I think, the last confrontation that he had with King. So what happened in that particular case was they kicked King out of town. And I think the spirits of the people basically became depleted and we kind of gave up. So that was sort of like the ending for the movement. But I would like to say that I don't think it was a total failure. And when we look at the final legacy of the Albany movement, we see that the desegregation of the public schools came almost 2 years later, which was a major triumph. And I was one of the first of those 6 kids that integrated Highland Elementary School. And that was quite a milestone. When you had 2 separate systems for hundreds of years, and all of a sudden, I was one of the 6 to actually integrate that. And then also, all of the public places became desegregated by 1970. And eventually, Charles Sherrod, the troublemaker, he became a city council member. Some other things that happened was that my mother became a judge in Albany. Cool. Can you believe that? After all that stuff she went through, trying to get respect and trying to get her honor, she became a judge in Albany. And then last but not least, my uncle, C.B. King, had a new federal courthouse named in his honor about 4 years ago. From all of the things that happened in Albany. So there have been incredible positive changes from that particular movement. And if we look at it today, look at the so-called interracial unity that we see here. We have kids in front of this bus. This bus is kind of like a replica of the segregation we had in the bus station. Now you don't have that anymore. And then look at the police cops. They're all integrated. When I was a kid, you couldn't be a cop. You could be anything. But now those possibilities are there. So that is my presentation. Thank you for coming. And if you have any questions,
click on the videos? Yeah.
if that's possible.
Yeah, you can click on it right from here.
Okay. This is a song about my mother that was recently done by Caroline Herring.
This song is called Camilla, and it's about a woman named Marion King who went to visit her friend's daughter in jail in Camilla, Georgia in 1962 during the Albany Civil Rights Movement. And she was 6 months pregnant and had her 3 kids with her. And The deputy sheriff wasn't interested in visitors that day. Mama, sweet mama, where are you going with all your babies in that casserole? I'm going to the jailhouse in Camilla, Georgia, to see a woman and ask for her parole. Sweet mama, why are you beaten? Why are your babies scattered on the ground? The sheriff slapped me and then he struck me down. He kept on kicking till I blacked out. This old Georgia town's knocked me from my feet, and I see a blue-eyed devil looking down at me. Mama, sweet mama, why did you do it? Why did you not move back into the crowd? LMA was watching from the jailhouse window. I had to show her I was proud. This old Georgia town's knocked me from my feet, and I see a blue-eyed devil looking down at me. This old Georgia town's knocked me from my feet, and I see a blue-eyed devil looking down at me. Mama, sweet mama, what's happened to you? Your pregnant body standing so tough. My unborn baby is no longer. Now I'm a lawyer. Is that enough? Is that enough? Is that enough?